This is Lenny Farlee, Purdue University Extension Forester. Now let's ID that tree. In this edition of ID That Tree, we're going to introduce you to another native Indiana evergreen conifer that's found in the southern part of the state. In a couple of counties, Clark and Floyd counties primarily, on the hilly areas known as the knobs. And this is Virginia pine. Virginia pine is much more common as we go further south out of Indiana, but it just does sneak across the Ohio River and is found in these dry hillsides. Virginia pine has 2 needles per fascicle or cluster, similar to what we see on jack pine. But one way to tell the jack pine and Virginia pine apart is Virginia pine tends to have twisted needles. You can see these needles spiral very noticeably. The cones, much like jack pine, tend to stay on the twigs for several years. However, the cones on Virginia pine have a very sharp thorn at the end of the scales. The scales on jack pine are relatively smooth, so another good way to tell those two species apart. Both of these have been planted extensively for erosion control, reforestation, and a variety of other purposes on the landscape. So even though they've both got very limited native ranges in Indiana, we can find them in many different locations as planted trees. You'll notice the bark has tones of gray on the outer parts of the flakes, but underneath more of a reddish to orangish color. And so this is pretty characteristic of the species. And as we go further up the trunk, we'll have a tendency to see a little bit more orange color on the very upper parts of the tree. Very open, almost sparse looking canopies, and once again we can see that the cones are held onto the branches over many years and accumulate in those canopies. Short needles. This is an excellent species found in southern Indiana for dry sites and was oftentimes used for reforestation on highly eroded or very dry locations. So one of our native Indiana conifers, Virginia pine.